sounds a bit dry, but you know, Gary and I, on occasions while we were filming, would fight, and on other occasions we'd sit and listen to music for hours. And it's a bit like my brother now. I see my brother every 2 or 3 months. I see Gary every 2 or 3 months, and we just sort of pick up where we left off. So on all sorts of levels, it's been a most amazing thing. And you know, to think 30 years on, and we're still able to sit here, and you very kindly asked us to come and sit here and tell you about it. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it was the greatest thing that could happen to me. I loved it. Even though I was growing up in Montreal, in Canada, I read The Famous Five as a kid, and I loved it. And when they asked me to do, to do the books for telly, I always remember, because we had Famous Five T-shirts the first year that we did the series, and I had to go, I couldn't get one of the books for some reason. I went down to my local library, and they were saying, The Famous Five, that one wasn't in. And I was saying, well, I really need it. And I realized I was wearing a Famous Five T-shirt with a Famous Five badge, and going, I need the Famous Five book. But, I mean, the fact that we're all sitting here 30 years later, 30 years.
33 years.
I
just thought I'd say that.
No, I was only 4 when I made this.
Yeah, I wrote it prenatally. But it was, the fact that we're all still here, and the moment we see each other, we go back into the old family ways, into the old roles that we had then. So, not bad, eh?
In fact, we were very lucky that Richard Sparks, one of the other authors, was over from where he lives in LA just recently, and Gary, Jennifer, Gail and I went and had dinner with Richard, and it was just amazing. Gary has got a fantastic memory, as you'll hear when we go through. Gary remembers most of what's happened. Gail and I tend to ride on Gary's coattails with memories, and then we remember something and that takes it on. Richard had a similar knowledge of it, so some of the new stuff that was coming out from dinner, just reminding ourselves of some of the things that happened that you forget because it was 2 years and a lot of stuff happened in 2 years. So the answer to your question for me, as I said, is definitely yes and definitely yes.
Thank you, it's a lovely question.
That's good.
Go on, he doesn't mind.
We don't like
I think your question is, why are we here, Mummy?
Was it, what time can we go, Mummy? Was that it?
He's a big famous fighter, and he's their boyfriend, one of them, and he's dead. And I want to ask, he was asking me before.
What is your favourite book?
Go on, translate for
She
us.
wanted to ask, are you all like dogs, and was it okay working with dogs?
That's a
yes,
great question.
I was brought up with dogs. My mum used to breed dogs, so I think dogs were obviously there before I was. So I love dogs. I had a great time with Toddy, who was Timmy. We got very well. He was a lovely, lovely dog.
Sorry. I'm just standing up to applaud. No.
So yes, it was great to work with a dog because dogs are brilliant, and I love dogs.
I've never had dogs, but Timmy was just, he was great, wasn't he? And I didn't realise that he was one of, he was a star in his own right. So it was an absolute pleasure to work with him, and he just did everything. And sometimes we didn't do our lines, but he got it right.
He was work.
Yeah. I mean, when he had to be sick, he was sick, and so it's, yeah.
It was amazing. I got up to say this.
Oh.
Do you like that? That was all action. These are my dogs now. And do you see that one? Does he look a bit like Timmy? You can't see it. I'll show you what he wants to see later. I've got 2 dogs. I've got one border collie who is, coincidentally, I didn't do it on purpose, but I found him in a dog zone and he just sat there and he looked up at me and he was being barked all over by the other dogs. So we said, I've got to take him home. So he came home. And then I also inherited an old Vizsla. Anybody know what Vizsla? Anyone knows Vizslas? Big orange dogs. You know Vizslas, really good. He unfortunately died, and we replaced him with a little wire-haired Vizsla, which are beautiful little scruffy mutt orange hairy hounds. So the answer to your question is I absolutely love dogs, and haven't been without dogs ever since Famous Five finished, and we had to say goodbye to Toddy.
Yes. He was a wonderful dog. And it's funny we talk about catching up on stories because we had a Famous Five party at the end of one of the series and we were allowed to bring a guest for dinner. And I brought Timmy the dog as my guest. and he sat at the dining room table with us. He was always the best behaved, nothing personal in the group. But it was on the
I think we realised during the meal with Richard that we were at that dinner.
Okay,
I just
that's
got
all right.
I thought something came out that we were
No,
there.
I'm absolutely adamant I wasn't at the dinner.
I know.
I think we were too young. I think it was a case of, it was a dinner for the grown-ups.
I
We
remember
weren't
party.
able to go. Yes, and this was an actual sit-down dinner.
Yes, it was. It was.
We didn't go to that
But
because we were too young.
Timmy sat at the table with us and his manners were great.
You probably were better off.
But was he okay with the knife and fork?
Yeah.
That was an incredible dog. He was very well trained.
He was a sweet little dog.
Did I see Rose's hand up at the back there? Yes.
Was it filmed in Dorset, and where did you four stay when you were there?
It was Hampshire.
Oh,
It was Hampshire. It was New Forest. I suppose that sort of counts as Dorset, really, doesn't it?
Oh, we didn't go to Dorset.
We went to Christchurch.
Swanage.
Swanage and Christchurch we went to, just for one story.
So your answer was right. Your question was right. We did film.
We did venture into Dorset. They let us in. They lifted the barriers and said, you people from Hampshire, you can come into Dorset as long as you leave quickly. But 99% of it was all down in Hampshire. It was all in and around the New Forest. Most of it on the de Rothschild's estate at Exbury. And being the de Rothschilds, they didn't just own the big house and the land, they owned the local village, and most of the people in it, they just owned everything down there. So we had complete and utter access to the whole of that area.
I'm going there next Thursday.
Well, you'll walk around going, oh, that was in the famous, oh, that was in the famous 5, oh, that was in the famous 538 times.
And that was in the famous 533 years ago, and actually they built a multi-storey carpet.
Yeah.
The second part of your question was where did we stay? And for us in the first year, there were two tiers. There were where they put us kids and where they put the grown-ups. So Gail will tell you all about her rather posh hotel, but we had a hotel called Park Hill Hotel, which was an amazing, as a 13-year-old, to come into this 4-star hotel with fine dining every night. My mum reckoned that's why we were so cool, is because I ate steak every night for a year. So the first year we had the swimming pool and we had these posh rooms, and I think we made a little bit too much noise for them because we weren't invited back the second.
You can imagine this is a 4-star hotel in the middle of the New Forest, which is lots of very dignified people, people down from Bewley and things like that, and then there's a load of kids running around screaming.
Exciting kids as well. So, but then the second year we stayed in Gateway House, and that's when you can. Which room did you have?
At the top, I have a picture on the table of the house which we had, and the attic room. I had the attic room at the top. Yeah, I had to go through.
You had to go through that room to get to the house.
And I will always remember, because it was beautiful there. It was beautiful, and then you had your own cook. She used to make gooseberry pie, and I've never had gooseberry pie before, so it was amazing. And they used to, yeah, Celia. So who ate too much gooseberry pie?
Not me.
And but we also did games in the evening, and I thought that was fascinating. So we're still doing drama in the evening. We was acting all day.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
I thought it was just games. No wonder we got better in the second year.
Well, you did make me go and hide in cupboards and things.
Oh yeah, but that was very good.
I know.
That house, the Gateway House, was again part of the Exbury estate, although it was actually privately owned by our executive producer, and he rented it out.
Did he own it at the time?
Jesse owned it then. No, he owned it. He owned it. He owned that. He owned the windmill next to it, which is where he and Isabel actually lived. And this house was 6 bedrooms on one level and 3 bedrooms above that.
And actually, a lot of you would have seen the insides of it.
Yeah, we used it a lot in the second series for the inside of Kieran Cottage. And it was the most amazing building. I'd forgotten that thing about playing hide and seek, because we did, because every room had walk-in cupboards. And I don't just mean a walk-in cupboard that you could open the door and stand there. It was like something at the famous home. Each cupboard was the length of a wall and had 2 doors, because that's how big the rooms were. So you could go in one end, run round, and come out the other end. And, God, yeah, we used to play hide and seek all the time.
And the wing game. And the wing game.
The wing game around the kitchen table.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always Michelle's stuff.
Michelle did that, and she won that.
Always.
Always.
Yeah, but only she knew the rules.
I didn't know